Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer again. And today I'm going to be definitely making a rather special title video, folks. Yes, sirree. Even though I was basically done talking about Disney stuff until, later, I guess. But I just have to roll my eyes at the absurd stuff I've been hearing. Oh boy. Because it seems that the film Frozen 2, along with the other set of movies, specifically the sequel trilogy that Disney produced for Star Wars, and yeah, people are upset at these movies, and everything behind them are just pretty stupid. I'm not saying people have to like everything the same thing. I'm not saying everybody has to have the same kind of opinion and whatnot, but just the reasons behind these to not like these movies just really doesn't make any sense. And while to some degree I will actually admit that the original Star Wars trilogy is still better in some ways, yes, but at the same time, the new trilogy that Disney had produced is still actually really good at the end of the day. There's a certain group of people that act as if Frozen 2 has to be one of the worst films ever made, even though it's just based on absolutely nothing really. And if anything, I actually still believe that Frozen 2 is actually an improvement over the first one. Not that I'm trying to hype it up too much really, but it is a good movie overall. Now, Disney Studios does have that reputation of making some of the absolute worst sequels of all time, which unfortunately is true. But to be fair here, there's plenty of other companies that had done the same thing. They made bad sequels themselves. I could easily devote this entire video just for that. But there's been a few occasions where I've seen sequels that was actually better than the first. So yeah, that's another thing I should talk about one of these days. Where I'm gonna talk about sequels that were more enjoyable than the first film. And there's plenty to talk about, folks. Maybe I can save that for a future video, maybe. I guess one of these days. But yeah, I've seen quite a few sequels that was actually much better than the first movie. Not that the first film was bad or anything, but I've seen quite a few second installments that were, an improvement. That's for sure. So yeah, I can definitely say that about Frozen 2. I'm not going to give away any specific details, but I don't want to spoil anything. But I can say that right in the beginning, you see the father trying to tell a story. You see more parent time, which I guess is a nice touch. And the character Anna is a relatable character in her own way, I guess. She's pretty charming. And having the characters actually separate from each other is actually pretty ballsy. So yeah, my point is, like I said for my review for that film, it's actually pretty darker. Much darker than the original. So yeah, in some ways, but I do appreciate that. Yes, sir. Heard some people call these movies some sort of propaganda themed films that are secretly trying to produce some sort of theme behind them or what have you, which honestly has to be one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Like, seriously, do you realize these are not the only films in cinematic history to star female leads? So give me a break. And now I even give you quite a few examples here to prove my point. The original Blood the Last Vampire has a female lead, so and it's an animated feature. And the martial arts film, like this one, has a female lead as well. And I can name a couple more kung fu flicks starring the same actress as the lead. So yeah, there's that. There were action features right there. Even I'm gonna also name a couple horror films as well, like this one. So I know some of these movies are pretty obscure in some ways, but yeah, and these films came out way before Frozen 2 and the Star Wars trilogy. So yeah, these films are not exactly the first movies to have female leads. So there was that. So that's the thing. Even the original Star Wars trilogy had an important female character. They seem to forget about that. The main complaint I keep hearing about these movies is that the character Rey is nothing more than just an overpowered Mary Sue, and that's it. Which, when I think about it, sounds really, really ridiculous. They wouldn't say that if she were a man. And when I think about it, the character Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th films, he's practically indestructible. Nobody ever complained about that. And then in the film, the more recent movie of these films, she doesn't listen very well. That's a sign of stubbornness. Stubbornness is a sign of a human flaw. Films do feature a female lead with magical powers. Yeah, strange coincidence. Still think the prequel trilogy, along with the animated movie, are still awful because they have no real logic behind them. I mean, they have some good ideas, but that's about it. Absolutely no one can convince me otherwise. They're still bad movies whether you like them or not. The thing here is that people get mad at these films and calling them bad movies just because of the fact that Disney owns the rights to these films. That's about it. And that's the one thing I keep hearing over and over again multiple times that Disney ruined these films. That doesn't make any sense because, again, like I just said, they're just saying that because they own these films. And now some people going out there and be telling me, "Oh, I'm just a fanboy," or what have you. I'm just complaining and defending Disney because they're going to complain about me being a fanboy. If they had been listening, even I would say Disney had made some of the absolute worst sequels I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm a top secret agent and I've been around for over 100 years. I've seen a lot of bad sequels from them. I'm not saying that Rise of the Skywalker is some masterpiece or anything, which it isn't. Yes, it has its flaws, but there's more positive I can say about the movie than negative. I don't want to spoil it too much, of course, but I really did like the film. And it does attempt to tie in loose ends from the previous two films, and there's a few surprising twists here and there that honestly caught me off guard. So there's actually some real effort in these movies, so that's a good thing. Not an overuse of CGI in these films. There's a combination of practical effects, and that aspect of the films did remind me of the old original trilogy because it uses the special effects to tell the story, and not the other way around. I honestly don't care what George Lucas had to say about the new films because, as far as I'm concerned, he's a washed up has been. I did like the fact that the Rise of the Skywalker is a bit more gloomier than the two predecessors. And I did like the fact that Rogue One, a Star Wars story, is a bit more gritty. That's a plus in my book. Yeah, for some reason, I mean, films that tend to be more darker seems to be a plus for me anyway. I mean, for give me a break here, the original Gojira film was pretty damn depressing, and I liked that. And I did like the fact that Frozen 2 was pretty ballsy to put certain characters under, I guess, dangerous circumstances. Having the characters not knowing exactly what to do next can actually help to create a mood of suspense, which is definitely a plus because danger is lurking at every corner. So kids movies don't do that not often. So that's definitely a plus there, folks. Props to you, Frozen too. So I guess I'll just end it here, folks. As always, thanks for watching. Take care. Till next time. See ya. Oh yeah.